FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome, and you are listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's April 4th, 2018, and looks like there's rumors of a trade war. I'll believe it when I see it, but things are certainly changing on the international trade front. As always, be a part of the show. Just email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. Use the hotline 914-424-4142, and we'll put your message up on the show. So what's happening here? Where are we heading with trade? Michael Stumo is with us now, prosperousamerica.org. Michael, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Kerry.
So, is the price of soybeans going to go up tenfold in China? Is that what we're looking at?
I don't think so. This whole trade war thing is hyperventilation by the press. What the Trump administration has done is narrowly targeted a fraction of Chinese imports so far, the fraction that have benefited from China's stealing American technology to outcompete us with high-tech products. That's all that's impacted. It was a very orderly process after months of study, and the tariff intent has been rolled out. They chose, about 13,000 different products to pick from, ended up with 1,300, and China has chosen to target a smaller number of fairly traded products. We'll see if they actually go through it, but it's not a trade war. It's the start of us defending our interests in a strategic trade manner.
So Chinese, they're not taking it sitting down, but in their heart of hearts, they have to know that things cannot continue on the way they have been, right?
Yes, but they need to see further resolve. So they targeted the industries of the future by stealing our tech to get into semiconductors, aerospace, advanced electronics, and the like, industries that we developed and we like to have for future growth and innovation. And so now we're saying we're going to defend ourselves against their economic aggression. But they choose politically sensitive commodities like soybeans to try to get us to back down. That's they are choosing not to change. They are choosing to bully us right now. And so when the administration shows further resolve, we'll see when they get to the point where they actually do change.
Like one thing that galled me, and I don't know if you caught this, it was towards the end of last year. One of our major exports to the Chinese, it's a multi-billion-dollar market, is basically garbage. But garbage set aside for recycling, waste plastic, waste paper, corrugated boxes. It's billions of dollars. I think it was our 3rd or 4th highest export to China. And they just said, hey, we don't want your garbage anymore. And under the World Trade Organization, they don't have the right to just say, don't send us your garbage, do they?
Well, they don't, but the WTO is in a funny position now because they've aided and abetted China's cheating, and they don't care about trade deficits and imbalances. So, they're under challenge right now, but I think it looks like the EU is going to go through the WTO process. China might go through the WTO process with a complaint and look for permission to impose tariffs. We'll see. If so, that means we're 18 to 24 months away. But your point is apt in that it's not only garbage, it's recycled paper, recycled metal that we export. We're exporting commodities, not high-tech products. When the British acquired colonies, one reason was to have a place to sell their advanced goods, but buy commodities to add value to. So China's treating us, and we are exceeding to be treated as a colony selling low-value stuff, and let them take the high-value markets where our jobs of the future will be. So this has to change.
So this whole thing, it's just mercantilism brought into the 21st century, isn't it?
Yeah, if we want to be, in 20 years, an economic colony of Asian industrial policies, we need to do nothing. But if we don't want to be an economic colony, we need to protect our interests.
Right. So by protecting our interest, what is the best way to do this?
Well, we're starting by going after, when their forced tech transfer, their tech stealing included, number one, just stealing from our companies that, don't let our companies sell there unless they locate there. And when they locate there, make them joint venture with a Chinese government-owned company so they could steal their tech. Number two, if they didn't steal it, they forced our companies who relocated there to license to them at below market prices. This is advanced stuff. This is critical technologies for infrastructure, military, and the like. Number three, state-sponsored hacking to hack into our companies here. And number four, weaponized investment. In other words, they buy companies here and we say, hey, we like open investment. We like other countries investing here. Well, they weaponized it to buy our companies and technology that's critical to our future. So that's going to be restricted too. So that's where the start is. But ultimately, we have a massive trade imbalance where China won't buy our products that we make here. They want to sell us their products. That has to rebalance. So that's going to have to be the next step. So the administration isn't announcing anything on that front right now.
So talking about that, he imposed sanctions on Korea on washing machines, a couple of other items. Korea backed off immediately, and an agreement was reached where they're going to be importing a lot more American products. Is that kind of like an quick, easy victory to show the Chinese he means business?
Yeah, I think it is. I talked about the WTO before. It was for this rules-based system that isn't working for us. Trump is becoming the new WTO in using, instead of agreed-upon rules, using access to the U.S. consumer market as cudgel. And we saw, in addition to your washing machine case, the aluminum and steel tariffs, right, where we are the only country which was absorbing or buying China's overproduction. Other industrial countries already refused to do it. We were playing catch up. So we said, we're going to put tariffs on everybody. And because we've already tariffed China, but you other countries have been allowed yourselves to be way stations for Chinese overproduction to flow into the U.S. to circumvent what we've done before. Yeah, so we're going to tariff you too, unless you take action to stop being a circumvention point or a transshipping point to allow Chinese products into our market that overproduce. And they objected. They did press releases. They threatened retaliation. But when it came down, they saw we were serious. They said, okay, let's talk about us taking our measures not to be aiding and abetting the Chinese so you don't give us, you don't impose the tariffs on us. And they fell into line. Canada, the EU, Australia, South Korea, they all fell into line.
Yeah. So what about Mexico? They're going to fall into line, Michael?
Mexico got a reprieve right up front. Canada and Mexico, I guess for political reasons, it was a temporary reprieve while the NAFTA negotiations are going on. And so if U.S. Trade Ambassador Robert Lighthizer, who's a very smart man, gets enough commitments that are documentable and specific from Mexico that they will not be a transshipment point for Chinese overproduction and cheating, they can continue being exempt from the steel and aluminum tariffs. But they have to prove that to continue their temporary exemption.
So Europe should be with us on these policies because their technology is being stolen, the EU technology is being stolen, markets being taken away from them, unemployment, all these things. Are they stepping up to the plate with the U.S. or are they just kind of letting the U.S. take the hit?
Well, we're not going to be taking really a hit because, but we are taking the lead. Really, the China tariffs on technology products are still an extremely small part of our economy, so it won't be a very big deal. But they fell in line on steel within 2 weeks, and we don't hear any squawking anymore. They had already reined in Chinese overproduction coming into their market. Now they just had to rein it in to, keep it from flowing to the U.S. They will. The thing about this, what I call innovation cheating, as opposed to manufactured goods cheating, is the elites don't care about manufactured goods cheating. They care about innovation and tech cheating. So actually more unity among the globalist elite and us nationalists than before. So I think Europe's going to fall in line. And basically Trump is changing the whole way to talk about free trade. I don't think we can unring this bell. And China's got a problem coming up.
Yeah, well, the world's fed up with it. Trade, the whole theory of free trade is that it's supposed to make it's win-win. Everybody profits from free trade, but we haven't had free trade. We've had this one-sided thing, and the question is, will the Chinese really back down? Or are we looking at potential hostilities? The next front for a trade war could be a military war.
Right. Well, free trade is a myth. It's a pink unicorn. It's just a myth. It's fun to think about and write about, but it never existed. It's a strategic trade world, and you can do your strategic trade badly. You can do it well. The Russians did it badly. Argentina's done it badly. U.S. used to do it well. China does it well right now. But every country has developed when they went from an agrarian, poverty-stricken country from us before the revolution, or the Chinese, or the Japanese, or the Koreans, or the Germans. The successful ones use a strategy that includes a tariff, an industrial policy, and an exchange rate strategy. Again, you can do it poorly, but those are the three components of tools that you can use or misuse to grow your country faster than it would. The free trade just opens you up to everyone else's strategy where they can sponge off your consumers.
Mm-hmm. So we're not really going to lose anything. We're going to see higher prices here, Michael?
No, we won't. There's such a small part of the economy. Actually, oddly enough, you wouldn't know it, but the U.S., and listen to this, the U.S. is less import dependent than any country in the world except North Korea. That means as much as we trade, the percentage of imports in relation to our GDP is smaller in the U.S. than almost every country in the world. So everyone else has more to lose than us, number one. Number two, the game is focusing on production and wage and wealth growth. That's the focus, not cheap consumer prices. That's how countries build, is you focus on production and wage growth. The consumer side resolves itself. You get more money out of wage production than you save on cheap imported consumer prices.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So we're seeing we're going to see the benefits of this. We saw the latest job report.
Let me just back up here. Let's think about Korea. Remember, after Korean War, the peninsula, they separated North and South Korea. South Korea is a war-torn, poverty-stricken agrarian country. They could have decided, hey, we're poor. We need to import cheap stuff because if we just make it ourselves, it'll be too expensive. They didn't. They decided we are going to build our own economy with our national champion industries, and we're going to restrict imports so we can build our own industry. If they had just focused on imported consumption and cheap goods, they'd still be poor.
Right.
But they got wealthy with production and employment and building their own industrial ecosystems.
Mm-hmm. Well, it makes a lot of sense. So you think Trump is on the right track? He doesn't seem to be backing off of this either, does he?
No, he's not backing off. He's on the right track. Lighthizer knows his stuff. It remains to be seen if they can put together the whole package I described before, which is a whole strategy of tariffs, industrial policy, and exchange rate management. That's the prescription, I think. But certainly he's resolute where he is now. Interesting.
Well, I guess we're going to see what happens next here because there's a lot of different countries involved. Mexico, I find the most interesting one because they're about to basically elect a communist there. And where is that going to leave the U.S. once they do that? Obviously, Mexico needs access to the U.S. market a lot more than the U.S. needs them, right?
That's right. I mean, the whole argument for Mexico back in 1992 and 3 when NAFTA was being negotiated, remember, it was implemented in 94, passed in 93. Mexico, we're all going to get rich. Mexicans are going to get rich, and they're going to buy a bunch of U.S. goods. Well, that didn't happen. They sold more to us than we did to them. And, oh, by the way, they had such wage stagnation. They're a poverty-stricken country. They still are. About 10, 12 families own 90% of the country. So you have all that concentration of wealth. Everyone else is a victim of drug wars or, just trying to get by in a sustenance kind of a way. They're just not consumers. Mexico's got to fix its domestic problems. They might be better off just nationalizing the assets of the top 12 families and dropping that money from a helicopter to get their economy going.
Yeah, well, I'll believe that one when I see it, but certainly they've got a lot of challenges. It's not really smart on their part taking on the U.S., in my opinion. It's a battle that they have to lose when all is said and done. There's just no way they can win it. And yet they're sticking to their guns. Same with Canada. I mean, Canada really hasn't backed off. It seems like Justin Trudeau thinks his kumbaya beliefs, philosophy can somehow make a difference here.
Well, Trudeau is politically necessary for him to say Trump is a bad guy and he's crazy because that places the people who voted for him. But when it came down to the steel tariffs and he's all free trade, number one, when he realized Trump wasn't going to back off, he said, okay, we got to rein in Chinese cheating and steel dumping and steel, overcapacity. We got to rein that in. He never talked that way. He was all kumbaya free trade until the rubber hit the road.
Right.
So, and Canada, like this whole thing of the media saying, oh, we cannot offend our trading partners because we need to sell our goods. Well, what Trump is showing is we have leverage. It is effective leverage. They cannot offend us. Mm-hmm. And that's how this game is going to be played in the future.
Yeah. Agreed. So we're going to get to see this, how this plays out shortly, aren't we?
Yeah, it's going to be ongoing. This is going to be an ongoing move, counter move. There's going to be a more nimble strategic policy where action and reaction. So this is going to go on for a little while. Mm-hmm. But we've got to get through it, not back down. And this age of appeasement is over. We cannot appease economic aggression anymore if we want to have an economy in 20 years.
Very, very true. Could not have said it better myself. Well, hey, Mike, just tell us where we find you, where we can read your work.
ProsperousAmerica.org, and you can sign up with your email address and get regular updates for no charge.
Excellent. All right. Hey, and don't forget, be part of the discussion. Email us, kl@kerrylutz.com. The Twitter feed's @KerryLutz. The Facebook page for now, and we'll see how long that goes on for, is Financial Survival Network. Michael, thanks as always for coming on the show. Greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.